If you like this video, consider supporting the channel on Patreon. Link in the description.
In 2019, the existence of Multiversus became known to the public due to a variety of leaks. In November of 2021, it would officially be announced by Warner Bros. Alongside the developers of the game, Player First Games. The game itself seeks to cross over various universes, currently all Warner Bros. Owned, and present them to us in the form of a platform fighter. For those of you unaware, a platform fighter is a subgenre of fighting game that combines the idea of a 2D platformer with the concept of a fighting game, usually tasking the player with launching opponents off the stage, although examples like PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale differ in this regard, as that game, for example, tasks the player with using super moves to defeat opponents and remove lives. Various other examples of platform fighters include Rivals of Aether, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Super Smash Flash 2, the previously mentioned PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, Cartoon Network Punch Time Explosion, and Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. Now, how good is Multiversus? Well, I got a code and was thus able to access the closed alpha for the game, though I'd like to mention that an open beta will be available in July, so it won't be long before you get your hands on this game and can try it yourselves. All the gameplay footage on screen for this video will be from my time with the alpha. Since I played it on PC, recording footage was really easy for me. So let's not waste any more time and talk about Multiversus.
This is the ultimate showdown, ultimate destiny. Good guys, bad guys, and explosions. As far as the eye can see, and only one will survive. I wonder who it will be. This is the ultimate showdown. This is the ultimate showdown. This is the ultimate showdown, ultimate destiny.
So when I finally got the alpha downloaded, I was able to play the game for 7 days. And now with those 7 days up and the alpha over, what do I think? Well, to get it out of the way immediately, overall, I think it's a good game. It's certainly a fun game and probably the only platform fighter to rival Smash in terms of how much I enjoy playing it. The roster for the alpha is everyone pictured here except the Iron Giant. He's not present or playable in the alpha at all, and I believe was first officially announced in the cinematic trailer that also announced the closed alpha was happening at all. Only a few characters are unlocked when you start, by the way, with the others being locked behind a price point of 2,000 gold points each. I assume in the final game there will be ways to buy gold similar to V-Bucks in Fortnite, but here in the alpha, you can't buy points and can only obtain them through leveling up and completing missions. Missions can be simple stuff like do X amount of neutrals, or specific stuff like KO an opponent with Shaggy's sandwich throw specifically. In the alpha there are general missions and goals that are always there, and then there's also the daily missions that are active for a certain amount of time. Personally, I have no qualms with a game that is completely free to download and play, having optional payment stuff like this. So in the final game, if my assumption about the point system is correct, I won't mind since you could still earn points through gameplay and not spend a dime. And again, the game itself is free to download and play on its own, so I see it as a fair trade-off. I don't actively play a lot of free-to-play games in general. I don't like how most of them are handled and how often you reach a certain point where it feels like you literally cannot progress until you spend money. But this isn't to say I don't play them at all. I think Fortnite's a fun time, and I actually like Genshin Impact, though unlike Fortnite, I've never spent money on Genshin. In general, I don't often spend money on free-to-play games, if ever, but that's because I'm exceptionally afraid to spend money, period. Being alive since 1846 will make you very stingy with money. Opening the alpha up, I was immediately shown a pop-up that asked me to do the tutorial to unlock Wonder Woman, and after doing the tutorial to learn the basics, I was in the game proper. From the start, I had access to Shaggy and Velma from the Scooby-Doo franchise, Harley Quinn from DC, Finn and Jake from Adventure Time, Tom and Jerry from their self-titled franchise, Rhine Dog, who is an original character made for this game, and Bugs Bunny as well as Taz from the Looney Tunes. As I mentioned earlier, I would also unlock Wonder Woman upon finishing the tutorial, which leaves the locked characters for the alpha with Garnet and Steven Universe from that series, Superman and Batman also from DC like Harley and Wonder Woman, and Arya Stark from Game of Thrones, which I've never seen, each of them being available to purchase for 2,000 gold points each, like I previously mentioned. Every character in this alpha is priced at the same amount of gold points, so I don't see an issue with this model. However, I can easily imagine a reality where, when the full game releases, they start rolling out more and more characters. They start charging more points for certain higher profile characters, but that's merely paranoia, and personally, I would rather subscribe to the idea that the alpha is showing us a glimpse of what the full game will be like, and there won't be some underhanded tactics slipped in the full game that weren't present here, because I want to have faith in this project. I don't really have a real reason to be concerned about these kinds of worries right now. I don't know, I just feel like I can tell how the money side of things will be handled just looking at how the game is structured without the money in this alpha. I apologize if that went on for a bit. I wanted to touch on the whole free-to-play aspect first, since I know it's sort of a point of contention for a lot of people. I think the game, from what I've seen in the alpha, handles this model just fine, and currently I don't see anything here that particularly rubs me the wrong way. And again, I recognize that there is a chance that this will not be the case once the full game launches, and they start implementing the payment side of things. But for now, that's all speculation, and I shouldn't criticize the game for something it hasn't even done yet. So, with all of that out of the way, what's the game like once you're in? Well, the game is a fairly fast-paced platform fighter that is built with 2v2 in mind at the core. Although, there are both a 1v1 mode where it's just you versus one other person, and a free-for-all mode where 4 players just collectively get to beat the shit out of each other with no teams. The game has your basics. You can do neutrals with either the X button on an Xbox controller or with the right analog stick, while specials are with the Y button. Each direction on the left analog stick changes what both buttons do, and being in the air will change this as well. So you get a lot out of those 2 buttons, which is fairly standard fare for these kind of things. The game itself is very fast, and it feels like movement was a core factor of the game's design, especially since there's no grab or block, only a dodge. The game doesn't want you sticking around and staying in one place. The game wants you moving around all fast and frenetic like you're Dante using the Trickster style in Devil May Cry. It might be in the same genre as something like Smash, for example, but you can't play it like Smash. Similar to how you can't go into a Street Fighter game and play it like Mortal Kombat. Yes, they have similar base ideas, but they are fundamentally different games and thus require slightly different skill sets. Multiversus also gives you way more air than you'd expect. You can get pretty high when jumping, which is a lifesaver during matches in terms of recovery. Plus, you can mix dodges in with the jumps for even more air, as well as ease of movement. I feel like in the hands of someone way more skilled at platform fighters, movement tech in this game could go hard. I look forward to seeing whatever competitive scene comes out of this title once it properly launches. What's funny is I'd often forget that this was an alpha build, because this game feels so polished and complete already, and that's before it's even fully released. The roster is fairly small at the moment, but it's not a bad starting lineup even though you do need to work for some of the characters. It's a solid mix of characters, and I feel that as more are added, it'll become even more varied. For those wondering, these are my top 10 most wanted characters, and now you know. Anyway, the animations are excellent and filled with character. At first I had the game at the lowest settings since it was defaultly at their lowest, probably as a precaution, but after adjusting them, I dig how this game looks. The models invoke this clean figurine look to me. The models look like stylized toys based on these characters, and honestly I think it adds to the vibe. Batman in this game is probably my favorite look for that character, period. Harley Quinn's probably the cutest she's ever been, even if her voice is annoying in this game. Shaggy and Velma just look great. Bugs is on point. My boy Clark Kent looks great too. Garnet transitions smoothly into 3D, so on and so forth. Another great thing about this art style is it means that all these characters look like they belong next to one another, despite being from radically different series with vastly different tones and even presentation styles. PlayStation All-Stars, for example, did not do this nearly as well, and some characters looked comedically out of place when placed next to one another in that game. The animations in this game are great, making the characters feel alive, and it's nice to finally have a fighting game where DC characters have actually good animations and aren't moving like they have a metal pipe shoved right up their fucking ass. None of the characters feel the same to play. Jumping from someone like Velma, whose moveset is essentially how I'd imagine Phoenix Wright would play in a platform fighter, complete with evidence finding and word bubble based attacks, to someone like Tom and Jerry, who have a completely different feel and style to their moveset and animations, is nice. You know, Velma sort of reminds me of the human me from that other dimension. Well, kinda. Velma's slimmer, but you all see it, right? Ugh, I shouldn't get sidetracked. Back on point, every character in this game feels like themselves. This is how I'd picture each and every one of them playing in a game like this. Except Shaggy, who's using all his powers from the Ultra Instinct memes now made canon, at least in this game. We all know Shaggy's powerful, but come on guys, these aren't his real powers. The real Shaggy is way more powerful than this. 0 out of 10, what a fucking rip. In their defense, the real Shaggy is currently not even at 1% of his power, so maybe that's why he's so underpowered in this game. Shaggy, funny enough, is basically this game's main dude. Think like Mario in Smash or Ryu in Street Fighter. the character that every other character is seemingly designed around. He's even who you play in the tutorial. It's cool to see Scooby stuff get a spotlight like this in a crossover game like this, especially when characters like Batman are in this roster as well and could have easily overshadowed them. I mentioned earlier about the movement, but I really like how this game feels. I've heard other people on YouTube describe the game as floaty, and while I can see that, obviously given my previous comments about how much air you can get, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing in and of itself. I feel like for a lot of people jumping into this game, the biggest hurdle is unlearning muscle memory they might have from another platform fighter and playing this game like it. But that's something that would have to be broken off with time, obviously. I also like how the game is based around 2v2 setups, each character having at least one move that supports or bounces off another party member. Velma has a move where she uses a megaphone to shout words like an attack, and aiming this at a teammate can extend its reach. Or, for another example, Wonder Woman has a move where she creates an energy shield around her body, like in the movie Dune, and if this is done near your teammate, they'll get the shield as well. It's cool that this 2v2 system isn't just a gimmick and is actually built into the mechanics. That said, the game does have those 1v1 and free-for-all modes I mentioned earlier, and thankfully the game doesn't feel off in those modes. Free-for-all still feels natural to play, as does 1v1. But, to be honest, I did find myself gravitating primarily towards 2v2 mode during my time with the alpha. Wi-Fi out here in the castle is not very good. Honestly, I've been meaning to have Barbara set up an appointment with our internet provider. That's not important right now. What's important is that you know my Wi-Fi is kinda crap. And even with that in mind, I had a mostly smooth experience with Multiversus Online. I'm not sure how this will hold up once the open beta and eventual full release invite the whole world to play, but the servers held up really well overall in the closed alpha, and I barely had any stutters or really awful lag moments, even though my connection was in the red a lot of the time. Also, I didn't immediately notice this, but apparently your internet connection is up in the top right corner during online play, which I never noticed until just randomly one day when playing through the alpha. I think that's cool. Last time I played a cartoon-based platform fighter online on my PC, that being Nick All-Star Brawl, I was nowhere near as lucky and couldn't ever get a stable match, which led to me dropping that game entirely, so I was glad this game played out better for me. The stages present in the alpha are really cool and gives me hope for the game's full lineup of stages. I wish we could choose stages, admittedly, since the game just sort of throws you all onto a random stage, and I have no clue what its criteria is for choosing stages, but I know I didn't choose them. The stages present in the game include Themyscira, which you all know since it's in that cinematic trailer, the Training Room, which reminds me a lot of the Training Room for PlayStation All-Stars, the Batcave, which has the Batman 89 theme as its battle music, a Haunted Mansion from Scooby-Doo, which is obviously my favorite stage here, and Finn's Treehouse from Adventure Time, which has what I can only describe as a battle remix of the credits song from that show. I assume the final game will have more stages, and I hope it will at least have some way to choose stages as well. There might be a good reason why stages are chosen by the game. I mean, hell, it could be based on internet connection or something, which is why the Training Room is there, but I don't know. Maybe you can choose stages in local multiplayer or against bots. I actually never got around to doing either of those during the alpha's run, so forgive me for my lack of knowledge on that front. Another big part of the game are the perks and the leveling system. I briefly mentioned the leveling system earlier. At the end of each fight, you level up no matter if you win or lose, and leveling up has two sections. There's the Battle Pass bar that unlocks new parts of that, as well as bars exclusive to individual characters that then unlock you different perks as well as a few other bonuses for those specific characters as you progress up the numbers. I honestly think this is a really smart idea because it promotes more playtime, because even if you absolutely suck at games like you're an egotistical raptor or something, you're still making progress, which makes losing consistently less frustrating, but unless I'm imagining things, you still gain more gold and level up faster when you win. Thus, it isn't like there is no reason to try and actually win matches, which is good. And again, since this game is free to play, it's actually super accessible to jump in and play a few matches with people you know. I know I've brought up Fortnite a couple times in this video, but this kind of ease of access is what I liked about that game too, even with all the memes. And I think that kind of approach might help in keeping Multiversus' player base alive past the initial hype and release window. I don't think I have much else to say at the moment, so let me just wrap this video up. I have got to say, honestly. I very much did enjoy my time with Multiversus, and I look forward to when I can jump back into the game come July when the open beta drops. I also look forward to its proper full release as well. I know this video wasn't super long, apologies for that. Both me and the human have our own videos in the works right now. In regards to what I'm doing alone, this Multiversus video was mostly meant to be a smaller video used to get my rough thoughts on this game out there while the iron was still fairly hot. You should all check it out when that open beta drops in July. You might even see me online doing some matches, and that'd be pretty cool. Alright, that's it. Until next time, mortals.